Hey guys, today I'm doing a review and discussion of The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. So the first half of this review will be spoiler free and then I'll go into a spoiler section. First of all, I do have to say that I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. It is a psychological thriller, so it's different from the novels that I'm normally reading, but I still enjoyed it a lot. And I enjoyed it a lot because it was so gripping. It wasn't the characters, it truly was the plot and how the plot moved forward. I just thought it was so well done. The writing style is in pretty short, direct sentences. It's relatively simple, nothing too complex, but I think it really helped to move the book forward. Now, a generalized review of it, there's a girl, Rachel, and her life pretty much sucks. She is an alcoholic. She takes the train to London every day, so morning and evening, and she passes by this couple she always sees as she's passing by on the train, and she gives them names. She names them Jason and Jess, and she gives them jobs and hobbies, and she makes up conversations between the two of them, and she's very invested in this couple. She makes them out to be this perfect couple with this perfect marriage, and they're people she loves to look at and wonder what they're thinking and wonder what their lives are like, although we've learned that it is really far from the image that Rachel has of them. So one day, Rachel notices something amiss with Megan Hipwell, and the next day it's found out that Megan Hipwell is missing. And Rachel, for reasons unbeknownst to her, decides she's gonna get involved with this investigation because she feels like she has some clues and she knows something that nobody else does. I can't really go any further without getting into spoilers, so that is where I'm going to be ending the review portion. Please stick around if you want to hear my thoughts and the spoilers. Okay, so with this book, I just have to say, like I said before, the characters weren't what drew me to this book. I actually didn't really like the characters. Rachel, I felt very sad for, but she also frustrated me because she was an alcoholic. She knew she had these issues. She refused to overcome them. And I understand that with an addiction, it's not as easy as, oh, I'm not going to drink today. But I just didn't feel like she was really trying to make any effort before this investigation happened. Really, the investigation was the only thing that made her want to stop drinking. And I wish that there could have been something within her that would have wanted to stop the drinking versus just wanting to figure out this murder case. Also, what annoyed me about Rachel is the fact that she could not let go of Tom. So her ex-husband, Tom, left Rachel for a woman who he had a baby with named Anna, and she's younger and she's pretty and their life seems perfect. But Rachel constantly calls Tom. She's constantly annoying him, sending him horrible emails, leaving horrible voicemails, and it's been 2 years and Rachel is still holding on to this man. She still thinks he's wonderful and perfect despite the fact that he hurt her and he left her. And he puts all the blame on her because Rachel became an alcoholic before Tom left her. But really, that blame is unrightly done. We find out that Tom is a horrible, horrible person and he is a horrible liar. So I'm going to talk a little about the connection between Megan Hipwell and Tom and his family, which I honestly should have thought about a lot earlier, but it wasn't until nearly the end of the book that I was like, I wonder what the connection is between these two people and these two groups, because it seems like two separate stories, like Rachel and her past with Tom and Anna, and then the case of solving Megan Hipwell's death. And once I asked the question what the connection is, it all clicked together pretty quickly. So Tom, Megan Hipwell, and a baby. So Megan Hipwell has a life that on the outside seems pretty great with Scott. Her husband seems to be loving and caring and he provides for her, but Megan does not like this life. She carries this deep dark secret within her that she can't even share with Scott, and that's about having a baby when she was really young, and she actually ended up killing this baby. And so her and Scott get into fights about having a baby and she always says no, and it's because of her past. And her and Scott have a very strange relationship. He's controlling, he reads her emails, he has to know where she's going, who she's going with, and Megan almost thinks this is okay, even though she's dying for freedom and for some type of escape. And she finds that with Tom because they're neighbors. They live a few doors down, and I don't really understand how it happened, But Megan and Tom started an affair with each other. Of course, Anna, who is Tom's new wife, knows absolutely nothing about the affair, and Scott didn't know that Megan was cheating on him. And Megan gets pregnant with a baby from Tom. And it's at this point Megan decides she wants a better life for herself and for her baby. She doesn't necessarily know if she can mend her relationship with Scott, but she is so confident that she can live a good life with this baby. She can be a good mother. And it's when she tells Tom that she's pregnant that Tom kills her. So that's how it's all connected. And Rachel's just there in the midst, mixing things up. I think it was very inappropriate that Rachel would consistently go to see Scott and talk with Scott after Megan went missing, because Rachel really didn't know anything. She had this gut feeling that there was something there and that Scott was innocent. And so she goes to his house, they end up sleeping together, and we see this side of Scott that is actually pretty scary. He has violent and angry tendencies that I could easily be seeing as something like Tom. I mean, if Scott was in the same situation as Tom was, I could easily see Scott committing murder just the same. Anna in the story, her chapters were completely different from the chapters we'd been reading about this entire book. All of the chapters in this book are dark and depressing and sad, and they feel hopeless. And then we read Anna's chapter and it's like a burst of freaking sunshine. It's happiness, and she loves her baby and her husband loves her, and they have a great perfect life together. And we just know that that is not, like, that cannot be true. You can't have this perfect island of happiness within all of this chaos. It just didn't make sense. And so of course we find out that Tom had been cheating on Anna with Megan. You know, the phrase, once a cheater, always a cheater. Tom really lives into that in this book, and it really is sad for Anna. She had a good life, and I felt sad that it actually turned out to be a complete lie. The last thing I want to talk about is the ending of this book, which I actually enjoyed. I was pretty much freaking out the entire ending of the book. I didn't know how it was going to end. So when it gets to the end and Rachel and Anna assist in killing Tom, I'm actually pretty relieved, because I thought Tom was going to kill one of them, or the baby, or something bad was going to happen, or I thought Anna wasn't really going to believe that Tom was a horrible person and that her and Tom were gonna run off with the baby and just pretend none of it ever happened. And I wanted justice for Megan Hipwell. Like, I wanted the truth to come out. And even once Tom was dead, I was worried that Rachel and Anna weren't going to go to the police. But thankfully they did, because I just needed that justice. I needed the truth to be out there about what Tom had done to Megan Hipwell. Like, I wouldn't have felt right if it hadn't been any other way. But then we leave off with Rachel, and I don't really know where she's headed in life, and I want to know, because at this point, I think at the end, it said she hadn't had a drink in 20 days or so. She has some money from her mom, and she's moved away from living with her roommate in like the outskirts of London, I guess. And I want to know what her life is. Like, does she relapse? Does she find love? You know, what actually happens to her? I almost wish we could have a bit of an epilogue, because I want to see happiness. Like, after reading such a hard book, you just want to see something happy. Like, this isn't my normal for me. I don't normally read books this dark, and it's not something that I could do on a regular basis, because it just puts me in a bad mood. I mean, how can you help it when you're reading a book that's all about liars and hate and violence and murder? I mean, it's inevitable that it's going to put you in a bad mood, at least is the case for me. So I just wish I could have read something a little bit more hopeful from Rachel. We do have like a sliver of hope, but we don't really know where it's going to take us. So those are really my thoughts on The Girl on the Train. Thank you so much for watching, and happy reading.